Oh,
It's another band. All the Muslim cars now, with your bag it up. Light up my card with a sweet one, please. Someone flicks me a bag it up. So, it's another one. It's another one, yeah. It's a full strand, yeah. Oh, it's another one. It's another one, yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to Iboxinghub. Obviously, this is a very, very special with one of the gosh, I've been on this journey for a while now. Just like this special talent that we have here. And she was one of the very first people to actually give me an interview, a selfie. One of my famous selfies, actually. I've grown my caliber from then. But we have the lovely Miss Caroline Dubois, ladies and gentlemen. Caroline, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, busy day today. Trained ran this morning, had a film prem, and yeah, rushed home and jumped on the interview.
Well, before we get into everything, because I want to get us this kind of out of the way first. Obviously, we had the amazing Adam Smith on IBH North Crossroads. Big up to Adam Smith, man, the voice of British boxing. Love that guy, and he speaks so highly of you. But to obviously we've dedicated all of these special shows that we've had today to Georgia O'Connor, a great talent, a beautiful heart, and overall just a lovely person, Caroline, obviously, I'll let you say some words and everything, but we're going to play the 10 bell salute for the lovely Georgia. All right, preach to the lovely lady. Caroline, how are you, darling?
I'm very well. Obviously, today found out the news that Georgia Cardinale, she's a married woman. She's unfortunately she's left behind a widow, but she was able to marry before she passed away. I remember I went out for a run this morning, just did my 5K, come home, check my social media, and then boom, the first thing I see is Georgia's passed away, and I was very, very, very just I had to take a moment. I had to take a moment. It was weird. It was like a punch to the stomach, It was. I messaged her not too long ago, like last week actually, and we were just talking about how she was gonna give me a phone call and we're gonna catch up and stuff, and I was planning on arranging going up there and seeing her, but obviously it's gone now. It's done, and it's crazy. It really lets you know that life is too short not to be going out there and being happy. Things happen, and the famous saying "YOLO, you only live once" is so true and so relevant in this day and age. I mean, there's two people that I know personally to my heart that has passed away: Georgia O'Connor and Jesselyn Silver. And
Rest in peace, yeah.
yeah, I was very, very, very full in both of these people's journeys, and they're both very talented fighters. And to have that taken away from them, my heart goes out to their family, to their close ones, and that's what's important, because it's easy for us to focus on the person who's passed, but it's the family that are left to pick up the pieces, and my heart really goes out to them.
Absolutely, sweet Caroline, and I echo everything you've just said. And this is why I had to get through the tough stuff first, because obviously I met Georgia a couple times. The brightest light in the venue, you lot, like, and this is why, when obviously, just really quickly, you and I say this to, I have a big team now, Caroline. I don't know if you've seen, but we, it's very hard not to grow an attachment to a fighter like myself. I'm Rico Dubois at this point. And yeah, it's but yeah, sending love, and life is very, very short, guys. That's why I always say to you lot, chase your dreams, man. I did. Might be broke for a little bit, but it is at the end of it. Trust me, it's it's worth it. Let's get into this interview, Caroline. I'm actually gonna do an anniversary when we have like our 20th or when we get our 10-year anniversary of an interview. But how you been? What's been going on?
Yeah,
Premieres, what's up?
good. Training, ticking over. Waiting for solid news. Obviously, there's been a few agreements happen and fights that are locked in with all in name without actually signing papers. And with my boxing career, I'm very happy where things are. I'll be keeping a close watch on what happens this weekend, and then we move from there. We move.
Um, I'm not gonna lie. You kind of said like every time okay, so I know you're becoming this huge superstar, Caroline. You're a world champion. I was there when you won your first world championship, by the way. I think I was there for the second one. And you every time we have these interviews and stuff like that, maybe it's just the interville like stage. You're like, I'm just waiting for my promoter with this talking to a couple of people and whatnot. Ben, what are you doing? This is Do you know what I mean? You like me personally, I believe that you, and I've always said this in many, many mentions that you're the next Katie Taylor. To me personally, right? Definitely. You're a 135-pound champion. Katie obviously did not want to fight you. I understand that. So now we go into the next round of questioning. MVP. Jake Paul seems to be grabbing every major women fighter like a Pokemon. I don't even know about Pokemon them times there. But Caroline, like you see there's Cameron there. I've even heard. I'm not going to say that actually. I'm not going to do that. I've heard talks of people that you wouldn't even think of going to Jake Paul in the women's division, going to Jake Paul. How do you feel like this will affect you in terms of the competition, being obviously at Boxer?
No, I think it will actually be a better thing for me. I'm happy that a lot of the fighters are moving towards Jake Paul. I think Jake Paul is doing an amazing job with women's boxing, and it's always good when you have a promoter who's invested in the sport because it's going to trickle down to everybody. If I fight, say, Alicia Baumgardner, that's two big promotions. You got Sky Sports, MVP. They're both going to put the money down, and it's obviously gonna go to your purse bid and who's gonna put the most money down. And MVP have the money to put down. Sky Sports have the money to put down. So that's when it's gonna get. It benefits the athletes. I feel like with Matchroom, he wasn't investing as much as MVP was. Maybe even Queensberry are guilty of not investing as much. Whereas MVP, they are putting the work in, they are putting the money in, and it's only going to be better for me. I'm happy when I see these fighters going over there. I'm seeing Beatrice Ferreira is having a one fight, I think, with MVP, so that has made me happy. It's great. I genuinely think it's great. I've obviously signed with Sky Sports, so I don't think there'll be a chance.
How long is the deal, Caroline? Like, I mean, I'm not just saying. I mean, who am I? Damn it. How many fights have you got on there? Just out of just. I mean, you don't have to tell me. I don't know.
But a 2-year deal, so it's this year and next year. But Sky is open. Sky is open for me to fight on other platforms. They're open for me to put on shows on different platforms. They're not restrictive at all. They're very happy to allow a fight to go to another platform to fight if the money is right and if it makes sense. And I honestly feel like Sky is probably one of the best platforms to be on in England, especially. And even when we're talking about cross promotions, I know that Sky will be very, very happy to make fights happen.
Do you believe in? We're gonna be guys in the comment section. I've got world champion Caroline Dubois here. I don't know if you guys understand this. So questions, please, in the comment section, and I will 1,000,000% come to you guys. Champ, with you, with what I mean, Jake has a whole card, I believe, happening on Netflix with just all women, 6 championship fights. You yourself could probably pick about the winner or the loser, or from at least 4 of those fights, if memory serves. Um, Away from that, what sort of who do you want next? Because we've sort of had this thing with you and Beatrice. I personally think you could go for the Bomb Gardens of the world right now, absolutely. But I don't feel like I've heard. I don't really watch interviews anymore, Caroline. But I don't think I've heard anybody ask you, what do you want? Like, is there that pristine opponent next that because obviously there's talks or whatever like that, but you got to have a wish list.
No, of course, you're right. I want to be undisputed. So the quickest route that gets me to that is where I'm heading. I think me and Terry Harper have agreed to fight. In all but signing the papers. Obviously, she's fighting, I think, tomorrow. So hopefully she wins that fight.
You have to fight tomorrow.
I don't know if I will be going. I don't know if there's any point.
Movie premiere today.
I'll speak
Chill
to
out tomorrow.
Training. I've got work to do. I'm a busy girl. Unless there's a pressing need, and a pressing, needed for me to go there, I'm not going. I'll watch.
But you're not gonna roll through on a face off, like, not at all. Is this a new Caroline Dubois? What is this?
I've not got a problem with facing off against her. She's not frightened to face off against me. She seems to be confident when I'm not around, but I know her character. I know that as soon as I'm staring her straight in the face, and I will bring that energy. It's not fake with me. Obviously, I come across a nice person, but I can be anyway. When it comes to my opponents and the people I'm fighting, I can flick that switch, and I'll be doing that. But yeah, as I said, me and Terry have agreed to fight. She's obviously fighting tomorrow. Hopefully she wins, and then we're gonna get the fight on. That's a unification. She's got the WBO world title, and I've got the WBC, the IBO. So that's a unification right there. And then after that, we're gonna think about what's the next move, the quickest route, the best route to the undisputed. If me and Terry Harper fight next, hopefully she wins. I think the only thing that makes sense is if Beatrice fights Stephanie Hahn, and then we can have a unification by the end of this year, 100%. If Beatrice fights Stephanie Hahn and beats her, we can have that massive undisputed world title fight.
I'm not allowed to be biased. However, I'm kind of moving away from this stuff now, Caroline. I interviewed Caroline, I think 3 years ago, right? Was our first one. And I'm going to be going up into the other echelon of boxing. The shadows where nobody wants to go into. I'm going in there. Because this thing with Beatrice and yourself has been going on for so long. Would you preferably out of the two, you for undisputed, right? It's Terry obviously hasn't won yet or whatever like that. The overall last opponent for yourself, who would you like it to be between Terry Harper and Beatrice?
I would want to fight Terry Harper next because we're both British. I feel like it's a big British domestic fight. It's not just a fight against a person who doesn't speak English. We're both going to be able to speak English, and everyone will be able to understand us. And in that sense, we'll be able to build a big fight, which is what women's boxing lacks. We lack rivalries, we lack clashing, and we lack stories. And there will be a story because we both can communicate with one another. So that's a bigger fight in my mind. I believe Beatrice Ferreira is a harder fight, is a tougher challenge, but in my mind, Terry is the bigger fight right now. And after that, listen, we can make Beatrice Ferreira straight after that if she goes after Stephanie Hahn. We can have this done and dusted, all this mess cleared up by the end of this year. If she wants to make active moves and fights happen, we can have this all figure out who's the top dog, who's the best girl, who's the queen bee of the division.
Exactly, Caroline. I'm not gonna front. They think that they got Beatrice out there. I got you, Caroline, on life and everything out here. Okay, you got haters in the building. I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be like all like that, but nah, damn it. Okay, I would love to see you ice Caroline. Ice Beatrice Ferreira right there. I'm sorry, Beatrice. I'm British out here. Okay. Man's got the stamp out here right now, Caroline. So yeah, I'm trying to. Oh, okay. I gotta find myself now. So with yeah, so um let's go to the fans. Caroline, question. Thank you, boys. Be crying. You've been crazy. Question for Caroline: what keeps her motivated, and who does she look up to?
What keeps me motivated is the goals that I set for myself. I want to be undisputed, as I said, and that's a tough challenge. You know, it's not going to be an easy road to get there. I want to destroy Terry Harper. That's a massive goal for me, and so that's keeps me motivated. That keeps me in the gym. That keeps me on the track, on the pushing myself to the limit. That's what keeps me pushing my legacy that I want to carve out for myself, and the future that I want to carve out for myself. Who do I look up to? When I was a kid, I looked up to Clash Shields and a few other fighters. But as I've gotten older, I've stopped looking up to people as much.
Idols become rivals, innit?
Not even that. It's just like I feel like I've grown. I've grown up as a person. You know, I still have so much love and respect for Clash of Shields. Sorry, it's just that I've become such a developed person. I don't feel like I don't have the insecurities that I had as a young kid that I needed somebody to be admired, inspired by anymore. You know, I'm inspired by myself. I'm a motivation to myself. Um, I try to live the best way possible, and I try to keep my morals with what I've believed in all my life. I try to, follow the law that God has put down for us, and that's it. Like I don't really want to idolize anybody or too much. You know, I still love and appreciate all my female fellow.
You're ready for the next level, innit? I get it. I get it. I've not watched like I used to watch all the interviews in the world. Now I barely even watch myself, to be fair. Um, question for Sweet Caroline. Go on, boys, be crying. I don't like that username there. Question for Caroline. What is the change she wants to see in women's boxing? Ooh.
Good question. The change I want to see is bigger fights being made. I want to see the big fights, the biggest fights being made. I think sometimes we're not seeing that happen, be it because of promotions, be it because of roads and routes, and people are taking different routes. But there's so many fights that interest me that I really want to see, and I think it can happen. But it needs to take more work, and I would love to be able to see more rivalries, more genuine rivalries. You know, we had Alicia Baumgardner and Michaela Mayer, which was an amazing rivalry, really stole the show. We had Michaela Mayer, Sandy Ryan. We had Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall. And I would love to see more rivalries, more real, genuine clashes of character, personality, and more rivalries, more stories, more things that are intriguing and captivate more eyes.
Is that what you feel is missing, Caroline? You feel like there's no sort of flair and not the WWE, but like this, do you know what I mean? Like just like in the press conference, you like how Terry like sat next to Tasha Jonas and it was like super awkward and we were like, oh mate, who's gonna chin who? But like, do you know what I mean? Like that type of stuff.
No, I get what you're saying. I think a lot of times, I think I was watching a random video actually. Now that I think about it, it was Henry Cejudo. I think he's a MMA fighter.
Mhm.
He's a Henry Cejudo or something, and he was
Oh,
saying
Henry Kudo.
that's the he trips me up that name. Well, he's
Oh, God.
he put what's the word interview out, and he was like a lot of fighters, they're afraid to put themselves out there. They're afraid to let their personality shine, and they're afraid to do the whole smack talking because they're afraid to do all the whole smack talking and lose. And we know how social media
Can I ask you a question, actually, Sweet Caroline? Only because that's a really valid point. Do you think that that's gone because of sponsorship opportunities, because of some would say the woke or whatever you would like to say, politically correct or whatever like that? Do you feel like fighters are afraid to do? Because I'll be honest with you, I know for a fact that you guys specifically are not allowed, or maybe not allowed, but you can't sort of say so. Obviously, there's free speech within a certain degree of stuff, but you can't. There's sort of a measure, and there's something that people would say. Caroline Dubois is media trained for this question or this or whatever like that. Like, what would you say to those people there?
I mean, obviously, there's an element of censorship. You know, we're not allowed to talk about certain subjects. We're advised not to meddle in politics or affairs that are outside of boxing. Obviously, there is always going to be censorship on that matter, but I think maybe there's also a matter of public image. You know, if you present yourself as being a nice guy or a nice woman, it's hard to break that image. But I think a lot of it comes down to athletes or boxers, you know, being afraid to lose and being afraid to put themselves out there. Imagine you do a whole fight camp, you're talking all that smack, saying you're going to do this, do that, you lose, or maybe you lose in embarrassing fashion, get knocked out. You know, boxing can be quite cruel. I mean, my younger brother was like, boxing fans are some of the worst fans. You know?
Shout out to Colin. Big up to Colin. Sorry. Hello, Colin.
No, they love you one minute, they hate you the other. So it can make people more afraid of putting themselves out there and just being themselves and letting their personality shine through. And I think that's a massive part of why we sometimes lack the personalities, and maybe why the Americans are so good at it, because they just don't care. They honestly don't care.
Do you think that's hindering boxing, or do you want to see that element back? Because obviously you can't just go up to somebody in the street. Like, I mean, you guys have to have a certain. But this is the thing. People love the anti-hero, Caroline. Like, you know, when Darren Till just goes up there and he's like, Tommy Fury, whatever like that. Everyone's getting nuts or whatever like that. But then, you know, do you feel like there's a one rule for some and one rule for others?
Yeah, of course. There's always going to feel like that. But yeah, people love the anti-hero. People love to hate people. But it's just, maybe it's the fighters have to put themselves out there. And another thing is, not everybody genuinely has that in the locker. Not everybody is that girl or guy. So it's hard to force that, and it's hard to tell somebody, go out there and build and be a character, if they're genuinely not a character. So there's always a combination of that as well.
Well, I certainly feel that you've definitely come into your self, Miss Sweet Caroline. Compared to, you know what I mean? I think both, you know, yeah, the growth has been exemplary, by the way. And when you are an undisputed champion, that one is going to be very, very special. Just obviously a couple more questions, champ. Hopefully I can keep you on for a little bit because you have to go for a movie premiere. I didn't know that you were big time like this. How much involvement are you having choosing who you fight?
So it works like the promotions. So my Sky Sports people, they would put some names towards my manager. My manager put the name to me. We all sit down, we discuss what's the best move, what makes the most sense. And I have a say in that. You know, I don't just get in the ring and fight whoever I'm told to fight. I have a say in who it is I want to fight. You know, I know that my style clashes with certain styles, and it blends and meshes really well with other styles. So, you know, I have a good say in who I fight. But at the end of the day, I do not get too hung up on it, because I believe in my ability. So I never allow myself to get too hung up in it, because I genuinely believe I beat everybody 155.
And you said to me, and I'll never forget that fateful day. You said, I think you were at 135. 135. You said I can go 135, 147, and 154. Is that still the case, Sweet Caroline?
I'm gonna try to go up to 154, but 100%, 1,000%, that is where I want to go. There's some good names. I feel like a lot of people are moving from 135 up. You see Michaela Mayer, she's moved up. You see Tasha Jonas, Lauren Price, and other women are going to become relevant names and faces. So I'm excited for that. I think 147 is a really, really exciting division, to be fair, at the minute. But obviously that's still some way away. I'm at 135 at the minute, and I'm still got a way to go to become undisputed. So I'm focused on that.
I was gonna cry for you, Caroline, because I was just like, wait, if Katie's still in there, just I don't know, someone just to take her away, go to TKO. I was like, what's happening here? Sorry, guys. Next question we got from Shy in the building. Shiesty. Would you fight Alicia Baumgartner next if MVP make it happen? And do you think she'll take it?
100%. I would take that fight in a heartbeat. I wouldn't even need you know, for that one, Shane or my manager wouldn't have to phone me and give me the question. They would just have to say yes to it. It would be done in a heartbeat. Would I believe she'd take the fight next after Jennifer Miranda? I don't know. I don't know how many options she has. At 130, she's
Did
on.
you watch her last fight? Did you watch Baumgartner's last fight in that arena thing?
Yeah. I watched it. It was. It got stopped early, so it's not much.
Pursoon. It was against Pursoon. She had a leg brace.
Yeah, I seen that. Yeah, she didn't look 100% to be fair, Pursoon, but
Oh nah.
yeah. But yeah, I would take that in the heart.
We have a couple more for Shy. If you could pick, who would be your next 3 opponents?
So I would go Terry Harper, Beatrice Ferreira, and then Alicia Gardner.
Oh, that is actually a hit squad. Last question. And obviously, you know, Shiesty, the rapper. We do the watch parties and everything. You know, when are you coming to join us at the watch party in East London? I need some more girls to join on the panel.
When is the next one?
God damn it. For Usyk Dubois.
For real?
Yeah.
Go to that one, unfortunately.
I want this clip. Can I? Okay, can I? Okay, a little bit of uncomfortableness. Okay, do you mind? Or like I can move past. Good.
Sorry, what?
A little bit of an uncomfortable question. I can move past if you don't mind.
I feel like I know what you're gonna ask, but ask it anyway.
I think I've asked it before, Caroline, and it's throughout the years it's got more awkward as it's gone through. Will there be a point? And this is a good one actually, because I believe that you know you two will be the best of a generation. When your brother ices Usyk, oh my god. Anyway, would there be a point that you would be willing to go to your brother's fight?
If he comes to mine, then it's
Okay, cool. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. So as long as he comes to yours, you'll go to his, and then that's reconnects the Dubois lineage with me in the middle.
You're really trying to insert yourself into the family.
I've been trying to do this for like 3 years. Like I don't know. Like I'm never gonna quit. I'm sorry. Okay, we're gonna move on. Questions from the crowd. Here we go. When you won your first world championship, that fateful day in your call, how was that moment for you?
You know, genuinely, honestly, I didn't really feel anything. It was just another. For me, it's never been about the world titles. It's been about the fights. If I was to fight Alicia Baumgartner or Terry Harper or Beatrice Ferreira or I don't know, that would mean so much more to me. You know, even if it wasn't for a belt, which it never would be, but if it wasn't for a belt, that would be a moment. That would be a real moment that I would go, wow. You know, I just went and beat a really good fighter, and I did it in good fashion. That would be my moment. Not necessarily winning a world title, because with women.
Not when you beat the Brazilian, because that was great.
Yeah. It was great, but I just
The referee was an absolute. Yeah, he hated you that day. I don't know what you did.
It doesn't mean that much to me. Not in a disrespectful way. Just I care about being involved in huge fights with big names. That's what's gonna mean something to me.
Incredible, Sweet Caroline. Just a couple for myself. And guys, I'm going to take a couple more and we're going to let Sweet Caroline go. So you've obviously seen in terms of, you know, His Excellency Turkey El Sheikh, and the amazing things that, you know, he's doing for boxing. And, you know, do you feel that there is a lack of women involvement in it? And do you believe the catalyst for this surgence within boxing in Saudi Arabia, within Riyadh season, will start with MVP Promotions all women card? That to me seems like something I've never ever seen before.
Yeah, it's a good shout. I think MVP, if that card really goes off and is a really massive hit, then I think it could create some shockwaves that ripple down to the Turkey show and the Riddia season. So I think if the card really hits off and everybody really loves it and enjoys it and it does great numbers on Netflix, I think it will help change the sport some more.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
5 years time, so I would be 29.
It's not old, by the way. Oh my god.
I'll be thinking about hopefully be involved in massive fights. I would create a legacy that is to die for, and I would probably be considering about when my retirement is. You know, when is the move? What is the next move? But hopefully, it'll be on the back of a huge, amazing career. You know, I look back and I think, wow, you kicked ass all throughout your 20s. So
You've already done that. But and after your career is done, and I have something very similar for myself in which I would, you know, being from Zimbabwe, I want to give back. You know, one day I would like to sign fighters of my own, sweet Caroline. I think that would be really cool. But once you've built yourself off of this success, I think we see Anthony Joshua and the likes of him and stuff. They coming to the end. What would be a dream to kind of create at the end of that, based off of what you've done? That was some really good questions off the cuff, by the way.
Question. It's a good question. It's a hard question. Maybe because for me it seems so far away. You know, I'm so stuck in the moment. It's hard to imagine what happens after yet. But definitely, I would love to be able to give back and help young women, young guys. I would love to be able to inspire people, not even just in a boxing related term, but in a lifestyle related term. I think there's so many young people going through so much, you know, shit, and to be able to help them get through that, that would be a very important thing for me to try and do. Maybe telling my story a little bit more, and just hopefully touching a few people through that. I would definitely love to be able to give back and help people coming through.
I would like to do the same, sweet Caroline. Final question that we have from Boys Be Crying. Jesus Christ. Question for Caroline. Does she watch boxing? And if so, who are some of her favorite female boxers and male boxers to watch? Fights she's looking forward to if she does. This is a great question. This can lead us out here to the outro.
Yeah, I love watching boxing. I'm a massive fan. I like watching southpaws because I'm a southpaw. I love watching Junto Nakatani, Errol Spence. I love watching Terence Crawford. I love watching Virgil Ortiz. I know he's not a southpaw, but I love his aggression, his style. I love watching. Who else? Who else is good? I love watching old Canelo. You know, we're going back prior to Triple G, the first fight. I love old Canelo. He was so sharp back in the day.
You don't think he's sharp now, Caroline?
He hasn't looked too impressive, unfortunately, but you know, he's adapted. He has had so many miles.
He's rich.
Forget how many fights the man has had. So he's got a lot of miles on the clock, and he's adapted to be able to not go out the clocks like super fast and be as explosive. But he's
Canelo Crawford. Before you finish the question,
I'm actually going with Crawford.
Me too.
I actually believe I believe he can win.
One more question. Can Caroline shout out my son Leonardo, who is 11 years and he has had 2 amateur fights? Oh, mate. Caroline.
Of course. You know, shout out to Leonardo. Obviously the journey's. You're 11 years old. I remember having my first fight at 11 years old. So the journey's literally underway. Take every fight, take as many fights. Don't be one of those kids who are afraid to lose as an amateur, because amateurs is all about learning. So take as many fights, go and spar as many people, and just grow. Be happy, enjoy your career. It's so early days, so just fall in love with boxing. Good luck, Leonardo, and I hope you have a great day.
That's so lovely, and you're really lucky, right? Because when Caroline was starting, there weren't female boxing. So
Yeah.
she had to like mash up a whole generation of young men that won't identify themselves. Caroline, can you shout out one who was in the gym? No, I'm joking. But no, guys, thank you, sweet, sweet Caroline, so much. I know Caroline enjoys interviews because I make her laugh. And every single time it is such a blessing because, you know, like I said, you were one of the first people that obviously gave me an opportunity to interview you, and you've given me your time ever since then. And I've seen you flourish into an amazing champion, an amazing role model. And as a father to a daughter, Caroline, I'm very happy to have role models like yourself. And hopefully you'll teach my daughter how to box and you won't charge me too much at that time. But Caroline, is there anything that you would love to say to your fans? Just anything right now.
Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. It is a bit late in the day, so thank you for tuning in, and continue staying tuned, watch my journey, keep supporting, and yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
Also, really quickly before you leave, Shai would like me to tell you that she likes you more because you're Grenadian like her and me. I did the DNA test. I'm 5% in there, but I'm 100% Dubois, baby. So I'm gonna be Rico Dubois every single time I go on the thing. But no, thank you so much, sweet Caroline. Have an incredible day, guys. God bless every single one of you. We are gonna end it with the D-Rock promo. Thank you so much, sweet Caroline, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you, guys. Good night. Bye.
It's another band. All the Muslim cars now, whichever get up. Light up my card with a sweet one, please. Someone flicks me a back by it. So, it's another one. It's another one, yeah. It's a full span, yeah. Oh, it's another one. It's another one, yeah.